Hi everyone. My name is Jerry Wise. I'm a life and relationship coach, and I've been helping people for 45 years. And Yitz Goldberg is joining me today, and he also works as an associate at Jerry Wise Relationship Systems, and he works with clients as well as I do. And we have been working together for some time. And this series is a series on the principles of self-differentiation. And this is a third in the series. And we're going to continue to present this series to you because there's so much. And Bowen Family Systems and self-differentiation and family systems is such a rich well of information, and I really think if we were slowing down to try to take a piece at a time rather than doing a large video with so many different principles in them. And this is the third. I hope that you will join and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I hope that you will join the membership on YouTube for $1.99 a month to help us to produce new videos for you that are free on YouTube. There are also some memberships in which you can get some exclusive videos that only those who are members can see. And I have a workshop coming up on December 5th, 2020 on a Saturday. And for those of you who are watching this after that date, there'll be new workshops coming up on these topics. So I want you to remember that. And thank you, Yitz, for joining today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to do the third principle.
Would you like to introduce the third principle?
I could introduce the third principle, yes. The third principle would be containing one's reactivity to the reactivity of others, which includes the ability to avoid being polarized. That would be the third principle. And if you didn't check out the previous two, then I recommend checking them out. They are
Definitely
very, very good videos and very essential principles for self-differentiation. So the subject of reactivity seems close to heart to you. You run the workshops on this subject, and if you really look at self-differentiation through the lens of reactivity, we understand that we are raised and we grow up in a world that we are always required to be reactive to those around us. We are required to be reactive to our parents, to the society. When we are in relationships, we are very often taught to be enmeshed, which is another way to say reactivity. So basically, we are raised in a world where we are requested to, yeah, you go be reactive and forget about taking your active stand in this position. So,
and the words that stick out to me in this principle, first one is containing one's reactivity and being reactive to others. The second word is avoiding being polarized, which is reactive in a polarized way, that either I'm this or I'm that. Either I give in or I'm aggressive and try to be powerful. That's polarization. You're all wrong, I'm all right. I'm all wrong, you're all right. And that's polarization. Another word that I think an author has used, and I like Kathleen Smith in her book, Everything Isn't Terrible. And she's a great Bowen Family Systems author who's written a fairly brand new book, just came out last year. And she uses the word interrupt. What we want to do is interrupt those patterns of reactivity and interrupt those patterns of polarity that we do. And when we come to a sibling, let's say, and say that, well, my wife and I are going to be planning a special Thanksgiving supper. So we would be able to come earlier that day, but not later on that day for Thanksgiving, those of us who live in the United States, for the Thanksgiving holiday. But there, it can be any family holiday anywhere. And and that if we tell the sister, she's now upset because you are changing the pattern of what has been expected. Or in our last video, we talked about the we-ness that we're supposed to have. And now I'm changing that we-ness to, hey, we're going to be doing this. Now the sister gets upset with you making that choice. And it's at this point that you decide what's going to happen with your reactivity, and are you going to be polarized? And containing the reactivity is, well, I've always been there. I have always been to every one of these Thanksgivings. I've never missed one. And we just want to one time spend some time in the evening, and we don't want to come during the day. And, you know, what how can you say that, Betty, my sister, let's say, Betty, how can you even bring that up? And now I'm being reactive because my sister is uncomfortable with my change. And now I've become reactive with her. How am I going to contain, and do I choose to contain that reactivity, stay calm and be myself, and stay with my declaration of self and what I choose to do? And then, second of all, avoid the polarization in which I come and say, oh, Betty, it's so nice that you have this Thanksgiving dinner for our family. I think it's so wonderful. But, you know, this year we're going to have to come early, and then we'll have to leave early because we have plans, excuse me, for later in the Thanksgiving or holiday. And then Betty gets reactive, then you get reactive, and then we get polarized. So I'm nice at the beginning, and a victim and a Viking at the end. You know, rah, rah, rah. Why? How can you not appreciate what I've done all these years and coming to these? Can't I just have one Thanksgiving where I do what I want to do? And
That
now
is
I've
still
become
being
polarized.
reactive. Doing
Exactly.
that is still being reactive.
I'm still being reactive.
You said the word
Or,
interrupt,
and
and
so I want to interrupt both of those
yeah,
aspects.
yeah. And anytime we decide to not be reactive, we are interrupting the reactivity that was always there, and that is something to expect. We are interrupting a certain dynamic that was there, that was expected, and that we were probably okay with up until today, but we are no longer okay with it. So being aware that we are interrupting something allows the other person to resist without you trying to pull them towards you or push them away.
Right. We're interrupting ourselves and interrupting our pattern. And another way of being reactive, and there are all kinds of ways of being reactive. One is being the Viking, like we talked about, and that's reactivity. The mean, aggressive, powerful kind of person, because now we've switched to the angry side or whatever. We can also switch to, I'm so sorry, sis, that we're not going to be there. Let me pay for all the food for everybody. Let me pay for the whole day for everybody. That's reactivity too. Because then you feel, okay, well, I'll feel better if I pay for all the dinner. And then I'll feel less guilty about taking the time that I want to take with my wife and I to do what I'd like to do that evening. And so we can overfunction as reactivity. Being over aggressive is reactivity. We're still reacting to the sister not being happy with our I choice. And self differentiation is not about making other people be happy with our choice. It's not having no empathy for how they might feel, and they might feel that way, though we want to be careful how much empathy we have. Over empathizing is also reactivity. When we over empathize, I certainly, if my sister were to say, well, we were so looking forward to having you. It's such a pleasure having you, Jerry, you and your wife and your kids. And we're just going to really miss having you. Well, I can have some empathy for that. And that's not over empathizing. That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. We're going to still continue to go do what we're going to do, but I so appreciate those comments. And I don't have to over empathize, because here's another trap for over empathizing. Mom then says, you mean our family's not all going to be together in one place on Thanksgiving? Oh, that will be so hurtful for everybody. Well, then my more rational self comes in. I'm not saying I would say this, but I might think this. And for those in the US, well, Thanksgiving was a holiday made up by Abraham Lincoln. It only started during Abraham Lincoln. It became a national holiday. It is a nice holiday. It is a good thing, a time of being thankful. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not sacred or magic. It's Thanksgiving, a made up holiday that we celebrate. And it doesn't mean I don't care about my family. I may have other plans on that day because I have a special thing I'd like to attend. And that doesn't mean I don't care about family or don't care about mom or don't care about, it doesn't mean that. But there will be some we-ness force that will want you to care about that.
Yeah.
And want you to feel guilty.
Yeah. The opposite, as I see it, the opposite of reactivity would be calmness. And there are two types of calmness. There's the calmness of the system, of when you're trying to make everything sound okay, and I'm sorry for not being able to come, and trying to please them, and trying not to take a
That's
stand.
trying to produce calmness.
Right, but
rather
that's
than
not, that's
being
pseudo
calm.
calmness.
That's
Exactly.
pseudo calmness. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Rather than being calm, which is a lot more about the self-differentiation part, which is, this is what I want to do, and this is not against you. I'm not trying to change your mind. But this is what I'm
Not
willing to do right now, and I'm okay if you're not okay with it. But this is just who I am at this
right.
particular moment. So
And
that would
and
be a
I
different type of calmness. That would be being calm.
right. Truly being calm, not trying to create or produce calmness in the system, because then we're loaning and borrowing self again to make the system calm. Whereas the goal is for us to stay calm when everybody else's hair's on fire. That's the goal. Is I work towards doing that, being calm. And then it's amazing how self calmness is contagious, and self calmness can affect the system.
Yeah.
But it
Like
doesn't
gravity.
guarantee that other people, exactly. But it doesn't guarantee that other people will be calm. They might go, oh my gosh, our family is disintegrating now since you're not coming this Thanksgiving. Maybe this is the only Thanksgiving you choose to do that. And then you go back to the regular Thanksgiving next year. I mean, it becomes catastrophic when really it's not catastrophic. And I first have to convince myself of that to stay calm. Then, with that belief, I come to the system and remain calm and stating my I position. And then they're going to have their we reaction that's going to go on. Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is not what we do in our family, Jerry. What we do, and your mom and your dad are getting older, and you're going to miss out on this, well, they're going to get older whether I go to Thanksgiving or not. And it doesn't mean I'll never see them, and it doesn't mean that I don't care about them. This is just a choice I've made for this day. It's, and that can be quite a heavy lift for a lot of people, especially when you're talking about family holidays. And I'm not trying to spoil anybody's family holidays or anything, but I'm talking about the genuine and realistic differences we have as people. And can your family and can you accept the differences of other people? That other people are not you. That's the, and I'm not other people, and many families have a hard time with that.
Yeah. Being reactive is it's it's important to understand that being reactive is not only behavioral, it's not only in action, right, where I'm responding
Right.
physically. It's an
I'm
emotional
just
state.
like being differentiating is not just telling my mom I'm not going to be, or sister, I'm not going to be there for the evening dinner for Thanksgiving.
Right. That's part
That
of it,
that's
but that's
part of
not
it.
all of it.
Right. All of it or more of it is, as you say, is the emotional state, staying non-reactive, resisting or avoiding polarization, accepting them and their choices, accepting you and your choices, and staying calm. That's more the state of self differentiation. And also, I'm differentiated or detached. In other words, if you want to have a hissy fit, then you're welcome to do that if that's what you want to do. But this is what I'm going to do. And I'm also not going to believe the false beliefs that I'm a bad brother, a bad son. I'm doing something evil. I'm trying to hurt everybody and everybody in the family. Those are all systems beliefs and systems feelings. They're not true feelings. And those are very common
Yeah.
for us to have when it's highly charged.
Yeah. You mentioned a lot the tennis net game, right? The tennis game, where
Right.
a lot of reactivity is trying to pull or push someone to the other side of the tennis net. And all the self differentiation work is being able to stay on your side of the tennis net while allowing the other person stay on their side of the tennis net, and then you could continue to play if you're
And we
interested.
play the game if I'm interested. And we hit the ball back and forth. But we don't jump over each other's net to grab the tennis net for a tennis racket for them and play the game for them. We let them play their game, we play our game. Um, and while playing together. So we're playing together in a sandbox, and that's what we did as kids. We learned to pleasure and enjoy ourselves while playing along and connecting with other kids. And that's how adult relationships are modeled. I mean, that's a good model for adult relationships and family relationships.
Yeah, yeah. This seeing self differentiation or seeing this principle. This is a principle that I can feel very often. Meaning, knowing this principle is enough for me to be aware of certain reactivity and when it shows up, right? So even being aware that this principle exists could help you understand where the reactivity exists within you or within the system, your family, your relationship, your kids, your work,
It
or
it's a
even as a
red it's a
society.
red flag.
Yeah, it's a red flag. Yeah, and at the same time, it it's I you could feel it when you do this work. You could feel calm. You suddenly realize that in certain areas, in certain places, in certain situations that you used to become very reactive, it's suddenly that like you it really doesn't take up any space, any emotional space. You just respond the way you respond and you move on. And again, not through behavior, also with behavior.
Also with behavior.
Emotionally,
but that's
it
out
feels
of a
much
certain
calmer.
emotional state, right? It's
Yeah.
out of an emotional state. And I think of detachment, which is that non-reactivity. That detachment is uh, commonly people talk about people are not renting space in my head and my emotions. I don't want you renting space there. I still can be empathetic and I can still care about you, but I don't want you, as you were mentioning, it doesn't take up as much emotional space in being non-reactive and in being, once we become more self-differentiated, there's not as much of that emotional noise of what do they think? What's their reaction? What am I going to do? How am I going to make this peaceful? How am I going? Why? And is it okay if I've upset the family, and now what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And there's just this whole cacophony of things going on emotionally and mentally because there's way too many renters and boarders inside of us because of the we-ness, and we need to have them stay at their own locations or on their side of the tennis net, and we stay on our side of the tennis net.
I really like that. I really like that.
Well, we've come to the end of our time, and I did want to mention we've been talking about reactivity, and I have Reducing Your Reactivity workshop coming up December 5th, 2020, from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Zoom. You can join on the website, and there'll be information down below where you can find that. I'm going to be talking about in that workshop polarization or either or thinking, not trying harder, reframing questions, stop needing to be understood and accepted, declaring self, getting outside the box, 5 ways of thinking to detach, emotionally detaching from your family of origin, and then the role of 12-step surrender in reducing reactivity. So those are some of the topics I'm going to be sharing at that workshop that's coming up, and I hope you'll join. We have limited spots open. I hope people will get in there and join that. Any comments you would like to make in closing, Yitz, on this differentiation is containing one's reactivity to the reactivity of others, which includes the ability to avoid being polarized?
It's just always understanding that your reactivity is about you. It's not about other people. And if you are becoming reactive, it says a lot more about you than it says about other people. And I think that is the
It
work
does.
of self-differentiation. Like I think that's what it comes down to, right? Always staying self-focused, letting go of other focused ways of thinking, and understanding that this reactivity means a lot more about me than it means about other people.
Correct. Well said. I hope you viewers will go and watch the video Calmness is Everything, which is a longer video I did a couple of years back. And and it's about systems anxiety, and I really think it could be helpful to you. Please go and watch that. I definitely want to thank Yitz Goldberg and my friend Yitz for joining us today. And I hope you will be watching future videos that we're going to do on the principles of self-differentiation, and join us for those. And I want to thank you all for watching today. I hope you have a great day, and be wise.
Bye bye, everyone.